It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good morning. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Beautiful. And thank you too for being here. You see, I truly appreciate it. And you see, Sav, oftentimes I love to thank my guests for two main things. So, firstly, Sav, I want to thank you for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some months back, Sav, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside there is this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry, and I just walked past it.
Sure.
So I went my way. But you see, just recently, Sav, I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and instantly I got the urge to move closer and have a good look. Boy, when I got closer, Sav, it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And you see, not just mangoes, but ripe mangoes. So it caught my attention pretty good, and it was a beautiful moment. My point is, the fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing person that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you see you got a request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of your work. Here you are today, myself and the audience. We're about to benefit from the fruit of what you're doing, which is amazing. So thank you for investing in yourself. And secondly, sir, thank you for saying yes to the invite because if you had said nope, there was nothing I could do about it. Thank you so very much, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, that's
Okay.
very kind of you. Thank you so much for saying that. I
Thank
appreciate it.
Beautiful. Thank you too. Okay, let's get started. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today, Sav, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Sav, I believe it takes the application of knowledge. Not just knowledge, but the application of it. And you see, sir, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. The second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Sav on the show is for the sake of the audience. Sav, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for life-changing information. And I'm totally convinced, Sav, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Sav, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey. You know, we are just so curious right
Sure. Yeah,
now. We
sure.
want to know how you got here.
Great. I born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. My parents are immigrants from Italy. Um, I left Brooklyn to go to college, got myself pretty well educated, and then embarked on a career in business, starting out with management consulting. And then I moved into, after graduate school, venture capital, private equity investing. And then I eventually became a professional CFO uh, in a business for about 9 years. And now what I do is I run a CFO services business, which uses all of the methods and techniques that I used in management consulting, finance as a venture capitalist, and then as a CFO to provide very high level expertise to emerging businesses, to companies that normally are at a size where they can't afford the full team and the full strength capability of a strategic finance function. But what we do at CFO Pro Plus Analytics, which is the name of my company, is we basically package that into a bite-sized solution that they can afford. And it really helps make a difference for the entrepreneurs and family-owned businesses and founder-owned businesses that we work with.
Amazing. That's a beautiful, and I love what you're doing, helping folks and helping businesses get to where they can't because they don't have the enough team and all of these things. I think I got that.
Yeah, I think a lot
Okay,
of them, I think a lot of
yeah,
I think a lot of them know that they're missing some knowledge and capabilities in their organization. And sometimes they're not quite sure exactly how to fill those gaps. And that's part of our job is not just to come in and give them like what we think is the right answer. We also need to really listen to them and really understand their situation and customize the solution to better meet their needs and objectives, because all business owners have dreams and objectives that they want to go after, and it's our job is to really help them get there. And the only way you really can help people get to where they want to go is by really understanding what their situation is and what their needs are.
that's right. Very correct. I got that. So that's going to lead to the very first question. All right. How do you create a practical financial forecast? You got that?
Yeah. So what I try to do and what my team tries to do is, again, really understand the situation of the company or the entrepreneur that we're working with. And very simply, generally speaking, they've got two different goals that they're trying to achieve, right? They've got certain personal goals and certain things that are going on in their personal life, and then they've got their professional objectives. Oftentimes for entrepreneur owned businesses, those two things are very tightly combined, right? Because the business is basically the livelihood of the owner. And this can last to, obviously to many employee, you could grow to many employees. The business can be of a substantial size, and it really is intertwined with the livelihood and the personal objectives of the owner operator or the entrepreneur who's in charge. And so to really keep them focused financially, the first thing is really to understand what their goals are. And on the personal side, it sort of sits a little bit in the background. And then we really focus in on what's going on in the business. And what we try to do is really identify the, five things that are the most important things that are either standing in their way of success or are required in order to make them successful. And then we build a plan around that. And oftentimes that's around drivers of the business, like how do they acquire customers? How do they retain their customers? How do they price their product? How do they hire the best people? And that's really when you zero in on the key drivers, then you can come up with a very focused plan. If you just look at a business and just sort of think of it as like, oh, I want to grow my business from $10 million in revenue in 2024 to $20 million in revenue, that's a good high level goal. But in order to be focused and be able to achieve that, you need to understand the pieces of the business that are going to push that in that direction. And focusing in on those and understanding how they work and how you're going to adjust them, invest in them, which may include investing in people and hiring better talent. Those are all the things that you need to focus on. And every business is different. So you can't go in with one size fits all.
Amazing, Sav. Now I see why you're so good at what you do. Those are really in-depth questions. Not just trying to scrape the surface now, but let's go down to the root. Those five questions you mentioned. That's a great one. Okay, let's say there are some folks listening who happens to be CEOs or entrepreneurs, and they've got issues with their employees. And the issue is the employees are acting like they need motivation. And so let's say they ask you a question like, hey, Sav, how can we motivate our employees effectively? What would your response be?
Right. So, obviously compensation is a motivator, but actually my belief is that people become more motivated when they really feel like they are in a position to be successful and they have the ability and also the support of the management team in order to make them successful. I like to use this methodology that's popularized in some books called right people, right seats. And any business at any point in time can just take a pause, write down all the names of the people that are working for them and what their role is, and they can ask themselves two questions. Is this the right person? And the right person, I mean, they're self-motivated, they're very good for culture, they're curious, they have certain characteristics that you really appreciate as a business owner, right? And and an, and an, and a business owner or entrepreneur who's been around their team for a while can normally answer that question very quickly. Does this person fit my culture and my values? That's the right person. And then the second question you ask about the person is, are they in the right seat? That means, are they sitting in a role that is best suited to their capabilities, right? So you've got all these roles that you need to play in the organization: sales leader, customer service representative, product manager, and they've got certain skills that they need to fill. And that seat, what it takes to do that job. So now when you look at a person, you say, is this right person, right seat? If it's the right person in the right seat, you're good, right? You've got a person that you really like and appreciate, and you've got the right seat that they're filling. But you could also have three other alternatives, right? You could have wrong person, right seat. And that means you've got a person that you don't really think is right for your business and your culture and your values, but the job that they're doing is the correct one. In that instance, you need to think about how do you replace that person so that it's right person, right seat, right? Then you could have right person, wrong seat. This means this person meets my goal, my cultural goals and values, but they're sitting in the wrong seat. So does that mean that that seat is not actually the right job for the business, or is there another seat that is better suited to this person because I really want to keep them in the business, right? So you're always trying to push everything toward right person, right seat. And then the last one, of course, is wrong person, wrong seat. And that means you're working with somebody that you really probably shouldn't have in your business, and they're also occupying a role in the business that you don't need. And in that case, you need to change both, right? Change the person and get rid of the role or modify the role. So I think for, an executive, an entrepreneur, a family business owner, this could even apply to your family members who are in the businesses. You can distill the right people in the right seats, and that makes motivating them much easier, because the person who's a right person and has the right values is going to be very aligned with your objectives. And then if you put them in the right seat, you're putting them in a position to be very successful. And then you can motivate them much more easily. It's very hard to motivate somebody who doesn't want to be there and is doing a job that they don't know anything about. So money is not going to solve that problem. But if you get right person, right seat, and then you compensate them appropriately, you're going to get really great results out of it.
Very true. Very, very true. And just like I mentioned the previous time that I love what you do and you're good at what you do because you don't just approach the surface. You go deep down into the root. And that's a great one because I tell you, man, many folks who are working in a company or another that I know, all right, many of these guys aren't doing it because they are passionate about the job, but they are just doing it just to make ends meet. So it'll be very
Right,
difficult
sure.
to, yeah, it'll be very difficult to motivate people like that, according to what you just said now. And you see, I would have to listen to our conversation again and again because you really shared some very invaluable information here. I tell you, man. Thank you for that. So we have just one more question to go. All right. How will AI impact small businesses?
How will what impact small businesses?
Artificial intelligence.
Oh, artificial AI. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought you said. I wasn't quite sure. It's going to be a long period of time that it is going to affect businesses, but it's going to be a much shorter period of time than, say, it took for the World Wide Web to become a business tool, right? Because as we advance more and more in technology, I think the time frames for achieving very good results with the new technologies shrinks because there's just more and more capability of people in understanding how to use them, but also the tools become more simplified over time and become much more user friendly over time. And AI is probably one of the best examples of that, right? Because it's at a very fundamental level, if you're using a large language model like a ChatGPT or a Claude, you're basically talking to the computer, right? So it's the most simple form of, input output to really create something new that you can leverage in your small business. So one way that I think that small business owners and entrepreneur operators can use AI is really to think about getting quicker access to information and developing their knowledge on sort of best practices to solve problems and get different ideas of problems that they're currently facing. Now, implementing those solutions and determining whether they really fit your situation is always going to be a very human aspect of using the AI. But I think the access to the information that's in there can open up the awareness of entrepreneurs for different things that they're trying to solve in their business. Another place where it could really help small businesses is, there's a lot of discussion these days of the kind of the AI agents that are it's kind of like the first wave of embedded automations that exist inside these AI platforms that you could get pretty quick access to. Things as simple as like, answering customer service questions, having an AI agent to do that, or having an AI agent that can manage your schedule. There's a few platforms out there that do that currently. Those are different types of AI based technologies that a small business owner can implement pretty quickly to give them more operating leverage and help things go faster for them. You could take, for example, uh, a small business owner that runs, let's say, an ad uh, agency of some kind doing digital marketing. Not only just managing the professional schedule of the owner operator and their employees, but there's all kinds of agent tools that they could probably leverage in their business to, identify certain types of advertising strategies that are developing in real time for their clients that they can then invest more money into and make a better advertising solution for their customers just by having better access to the data and having a machine that's actually interpreting it for you much more quickly. That would be, an example in a small business, agency oriented advertising business where you can leverage that. So, I think for the next 6 to 9 months, there's going to be a lot of activity on these, thinking about these agents. And I think small businesses should, spend, a couple hours a week looking at the different types of agents and understanding how they might fit into their business and how they might be able to leverage them. And then there's going to be something else that's going to come out, after that.
Okay. Okay.
Hey there.
Yeah.
I answered the question and then I
Yeah.
lost you. So,
Sorry about that. I think it's my network. Um, that's gonna be the end of the show, sir. For folks who would like to reach out to you, learn more about everything we've discussed, or even ask questions, how can that be possible?
yeah, they could visit my website, cfoproanalytics.com. There's a contact us button there. If there's any business owners that interested in having a chat about CFO services. I'm also very active on LinkedIn. You can find me there. Salvatore Tirabassi, pretty relatively unusual name, so pretty easy to find on LinkedIn, and you could always send me a message there.
Beautiful. So that's gonna be the end of the show, sir. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this amazing stuff with us. It means a whole lot, man. Thank you.
All the best. Thank you.